it's me, Paul Dalzell. I am the worship coordinator of this, the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Charleston. Welcome to our regularly scheduled 11:05 service. Mel Hoover used to get really mad at me when I'd say that, but he's not here. Welcome, all of you, our members, our friends, and if this is your first time here or your first time here in a while, we welcome you and thank you for joining us today. We come together to worship on the lands of the Shawnee, Cherokee, Delaware, and Iroquoian nations, including the Seneca and Mingo, used as hunting grounds. Before that, the Adena culture flourished in this area from about 1000 to 200 BCE. That culture is responsible for the remarkable earthwork burial mounds, like the Creel Mound in South Charleston. We should also acknowledge that we are on land that was once a slave plantation, as was most of this land west of the Elk River. The truth is, we did have to walk across a bridge back in those days. See, I went to high school in Clay County, West Virginia, and I lived in Beaumont, and the old bridge across the Elk River at Queen Shoals was not strong enough to carry a busload of kids. So every morning, bus 16 would pick us up, drive us to the end of the Queen Shoals Bridge, and let us out. We would all walk across the bridge through rain or sleet or snow or sometimes sun, and then climb onto bus 1 and ride 45 minutes to Clay High. And every evening, bus 1 would drop us off on the far side, and again, we would all walk across the bridge through rain or sleet or snow, or sometimes sun, and climb back onto bus 16, which would take us home. Well, after 3 long years of doing this each and every day, toward the end of my junior year, my friend Harry, the mischievous boy he was, decided to dare me to jump off the bridge. Now, not being a complete fool, I promptly double-dog dared him right back. If I did it, he had to too. Okay, I will, he said. Well, I was in a pickle now. One cannot simply chicken out of a dare. It just isn't done. No way, no how. So I planned. I'd first go down under the bridge and swim around, make sure there were no dead trees down there, and ensure it was deep enough. And we decided to do it on the last day of school, after school. That way I wouldn't have to go to school soaking wet. Besides, it's warmer in the afternoon in June. And I'd wear a t-shirt I could slip off, shorts, and flip-flops. I could have someone carry my shirt and flips across. See, it's not like I didn't think about it. Unfortunately, as high school boys will do, especially when distracted by high school girls, I never quite got around to swimming under the bridge to check for dead trees and such. Excuse me. But no matter, I had a dare to do and my honor to uphold, and once dared, no Dalzell ever backs down. Or at least no Paul Dalzell from up Porter's Creek, anyway. No sirree, Bob. The fateful day came. I girded my loins, donned my apparel, and off to the bus I went. Harry, you're wearing boots and jeans. That'll bog you down in the river, don't you think? I ain't gonna do it, man, he replied. I can't believe you're chickening out, I proclaimed for all the world, or at least the back few rows of the bus where all the cool kids sat to hear. Well, me, I had my loins girded, my resolve set. I wasn't no chicken, no how. So when the bus stopped on the yawn side, off I went. I didn't stop to think, obviously. I ran to the handrail and vaulted over. And there, far below me, I spied 2 leaves floating on top of the water serenely. Hoping they weren't attached to a tree, I hit the water well, feet first, right between them, and went down and down and down. I looked up from underwater, and there the leaves were swirling now. I swam up and grabbed 1 leaf in each hand. Success. All went according to plan. I was still alive. And as I swam over to the shore, I heard a yell. I won't say what was yelled. And a splash, and soon there was Harry's head swimming towards me. He jumped too. Needless to say, we were heroes. We were giants. We were the talk of the bus ride all summer long. Now a brief addendum. Having done all the things that 17-year-old boys do in the summer, I mostly forgot about this, my moment of glory, until on the first day of school that fall, I was called to the office. I walked in, sat down before the principal, and he said, "Paul, I understand you jumped off the bridge on the last day of school last year." "Yes, sir, I did." "And then," he continued, "you got back on the bus and rode home." "Well, yes, sir, that's right." "I need you to know those bus seats were wet, and we almost had to replace them. The next time you jump off the Queen Shoals Bridge, you better find your own way home. Is that understood, mister?" "Not ever planning on doing it again," I replied. "Yes, sir, the next time I jump off a bridge, I will find my own transportation." "Well, all right then." And I was dismissed. Please join me in reading our covenant to each other. Love is the spirit of our faith. This is service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. So let's take a moment to sit and breathe, to meditate, to ponder, to pray, but most of all to sit here with one another in community. So please relax in your chairs. Plant your feet on the floor. Square your shoulders. Feel free to close your eyes or unfocus them or gaze into our chalice flame. Breathe. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Settle into this moment, this space. Way back, when I jumped off the old Queen Shoals Bridge, we had only 3 channels, 4 if you get PBS. They all reported what was basically the same news. Sure, one might break a story, but the others would pick it up and report on it too. Your choice was which news anchor you liked best, not what news you liked. We might have been misled, but that misleading information was more likely to come from the government than the news services. Newspapers might slant one way or another, but the nightly news was pretty homogeneous. It's different now, isn't it? All the news channels slant one way or another. The president calls many of them fake news, and some people believe them. And if you are on social media at all, you hear even more outlandish things, no matter where you are on the political spectrum. And social media feeds that by tailoring the information you receive to your particular algorithm. If you lean left, you get fed a different stream of news than others, whether they are farther left or more right-leaning. Whichever way you lean, you are given different facts than others. The other day I mentioned something to Sarah, and she said she hadn't heard about it. No matter what it was, it did not exist in her world. We have, to quote Kellyanne Conway, alternative facts. And Sarah and I align pretty closely politically. The Trump base of MAGA voters does not exist in the same reality as I do. The world they know is not the same one I know. Our very reality is and has been manipulated by others and has divided us. Us as a population, us as a country, us as a nation. Even if we agree that we or they are being manipulated, we can't agree on who's doing it. It might be the Russians, the Chinese, the government, big business, the Christian right, the radical left, fascists, communists, socialists. The list goes on and on. And it may be a combination of many of those. So that's scary, huh? So let me ask you, what are you sure about? What do you know for certain? Would anyone like to offer something? I know this to be true. Someday I'll die. I'll get to that one. Last week, when I was trying to come up with a topic for this week, after an abrupt cancellation, I couldn't think of one single thing. There was absolutely nothing I was or am sure about, hence the title. I guess I am sure we live in a time of alternate news, with alternate facts tailored to our alternate news feeds, depending on our alternative algorithms. So I'm sure that no one can be sure of anything they read or see in the news or online. What about beliefs? What about those things that we know are true? Things that, like love, like God, or like the scientific method, or math. There are things some believe in that are bigger than themselves. Some believe with their whole hearts that God is real. Some believe with the same assurance that supernatural forces exist. Some believe that science is the only truth. Some of those believe only in mathematics, that 2 + 2 is and always will be 4. For instance. Those who believe in those things will argue that because they've seen, felt, read about, or proven those things, that they are absolutely true. Being a believer in pluralism, I'm not going to deny that. For you, they are true, but they may not be true for others. You may be sure of your truth, but others may be just as sure that their truths are correct. You probably knew that I would, so let's see what research says. What have philosophers said about certainty? Ben Franklin said, Bob, the only things certain in life are death and taxes. Well, I haven't experienced the first. There have been times in my life, childhood and such, when I didn't have the burden of the latter, so I don't know. Socrates said, true wisdom begins when we admit that we do not know everything. That one does ring true. René Descartes stripped away all the uncertain beliefs to find a baseline truth. I think, therefore I am. Ludwig Wittgenstein argued that even our most basic claims about reality rest on unprovable frameworks of background certainty. Soren Kierkegaard noted that human freedoms require making real choices without knowing the outcome in advance. Bertrand Russell believed philosophy teaches us how to live gracefully with unanswered questions instead of freezing up. And Heisenberg philosophy on the uncertainty principle explains that subatomic particles cannot have precise positions and momenta simultaneously, shifting science away from pure determination. Whereas quantum uncertainty implies that the universe is fundamentally fluid at its core, rather than fully predictable. The only truth I know is that the only thing we can be certain of is that we can't be certain of anything. I used to tell my crew at McDonald's that the only thing that never changes is that everything always changes. If you don't like something, stick around, it'll change. If you do like something, stick around, it'll change too. But we like things to be certain, don't we? From an article in the American Scholar by Christopher Moore and John Kaag, they write, humans crave certainty. We long to know what will happen, what to believe, and how to live. This desire drives some of us to depths of soul searching and heights of scientific inquiry. It drives others into the arms of authoritarians who are all too willing to put our doubts and our unquiet minds to rest. As Nietzsche writes, when our demand for certainty is frustrated, when the quest for truth is longer and stranger than we would like, we often give up. And just as some people turn to authority, others abandon even the idea of truth, deciding that there is no truth to be found. Yet there is a middle way between the extremes of absolute certainty and despair that honors Nietzsche's call to embrace uncertainty and ignorance while maintaining our pursuit of meaning and truth. Uncertainty can be a source of terror and anguish, keeps us up at night, but is also a generative force and an invitation for deeper exploration. It forces us to earn our certainties rather than buying them cheaply and wholesale. Indeed, a dynamic, honest search for truth requires us to regard uncertainty as an enduring companion rather than as an enemy to be fled or vanquished. To wrestle with it, we must embrace it. And then we have the observer effect of uncertainty. This is the rule that simply looking at or measuring something can change how it behaves. This happens because the act of measuring forces a physical interaction with what is being studied. It's not magic. Observing does not mean a human mind or human consciousness is changing reality. To measure a tiny particle, you have to touch it with something else, like bouncing a particle of light, a photon, off an electron. That touch bumps the electron and changes its speed or location. It's like checking a car's tire pressure. Pressing the gauge lets a tiny hiss of air out, which slightly changes the pressure you are trying to measure. The double slit experiment is the ultimate proof of the observer effect, showing that tiny particles act like ripples in water until you watch them. When no one is looking, particles can exist in multiple places at once. But the moment they are measured, they choose a single path. This holds true in psychology also. People act differently when they know someone is watching them, which changes the study results. Okay then. Things, whether it be electrons or people, react differently when they are observed. The act of seeing or recording them affects how they behave. There's more certainty when something is being observed than when it is not. I reckon that means we should pay attention, huh? If you like certainty more than uncertainty, after all, it's up to you. Is that too much for you? Then let's dive into the many worlds theory. Instead of each waveform of those electrons settling on one path when observed, the many worlds theory holds that all are equally true, each in its own separate parallel universe. First proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in 1957, it says the universe never collapses into a single choice. Schrödinger said much the same, because we only detect one outcome, one solution to the wave function. That need not mean that alternative solutions do not exist. He pointed out the ridiculousness of expecting a quantum supposition to collapse just because we look at it. So each quantum event creates its own reality. Now, I'm not a quantum physicist. I only delve into it for light reading. But it seems to me that if scientists use quantum mechanics for tiny particles, but use general relativity or classical mechanics for big objects and gravity, then a unified theory will eventually link them all into quantum space-time. I would like to think this will happen, but I'm not certain. But what if every choice that we made, whether I paused to take a drink of coffee so you could ponder this or not, what if each one also created its own alternate reality? And what if all of those choices were all true at the same time? This is the basis for the Marvel Universe, that every eventuality has happened and that it created a separate world. What if the radioactive spider bit someone else instead of Peter Parker? What if it bit Gwen Stacy or Aunt May or a young man of color named Miles? And what if we could travel between those realities? What if I didn't jump off that bridge in June of 1976? Or what if I did, but the water was only 2 feet deep and I died? Somewhere in the multiverse, one me wasn't as brave or stupid as this one, And somewhere my life ended at that moment. You never knew me. If the unified theory of relativity is true, but we just haven't figured it out yet, that doesn't mean that everything is both certain. No, I'm sorry. Then, doesn't that mean that everything is both certain and uncertain at the same time? That would allow those who need to feel certain and those who embrace uncertainty to also be unified, wouldn't it? So that was a fun, wild ride. But what in any of the universes does that have to do with Unitarian Universalism? Allow me now to wrap a bow around it. None of our principles and none of our shared values have anything to do with certainty. Our principles are all preceded by our Unitarian Universalist congregation affirms and promotes the inherent worth and dignity, etc. They are something we try to do, a goal to achieve. Our shared values are not just jet pig, they all have explanations. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. Equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. Pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. Interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. And generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Nothing I just said says or implies certainty. We work, we declare, we adapt, we celebrate, we honor, we cultivate. We are accountable to each other to do the work of living these values. We affirm and promote our principles. But we are all human. We will all fail sometimes. We can all be certain of that, I'm sure. Thank you. I invite you to once again rise in voice, body, or spirit as you are willing or able for our last song for all. It's number 170, We Are a Gentle, Angry People, by Near. The words will be on the screens.
All 6 verses, and the last 2 verses are not written within the music. They're at below the end of the score.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Please be seated. Please be seated for our closing words, which are today, The Lifelong Goal by David Hicks McPherson. To wish for compassion, to pray for courage, to experience doubt, to bear sorrow, to strive for sureness. All these are qualities for which each of us should be grateful. But to feel a genuine fellowship for the whole human family, to act so our empathy is evident wherever we go, that's the object. That's the lifelong goal. The music makers will now perform our postlude. It's a new one.
Go on your path with a song so sweet that everywhere you are, there is love all around. Go on your path with a song so sweet that everywhere you go, there is love all